Thanks again, Connor, for the kind introduction. And I'm really honored and pleased to speak today because what I usually do is just consult on circular economy, but not only with my work, but also with much reading and thinking and discussing, I'm convinced that circular economy has more to offer than just an economic concept. So that's why I like to speak, or I'm really pleased to speak on how circular thinking can help us build the future we want today, as maybe a first step into our envisioning workshop we have ahead of us, where we want to go into a time capsule later on. So, I mean, we know that we are all locked up and locked in an evolution that leads us to nowhere else than maybe trouble. Some of you might know this this graphic from the International Geosphere-Biosphere program, which is actually quite old. It's more than 10 years old. It only goes to 2010. What it shows, I mean, it shows a picture of everything going up, and that's how we progressed over the last 7 decades. Everything went up, grew steadily, or even increasingly, exponentially. But we are getting towards or beyond Earth borders, beyond planetary boundaries. We know that. And if you want to follow Einstein's thought that you can't try and solve problems with the thinking that brought you there, the question is, what can we do? And I suggest as a remedy 3 ways of distancing. One can be a conceptual distancing from how we think about economy. Another one can be distancing in space, and the third, distancing in time. Let me explain just briefly what I mean by that. Today, when you learn about economy, you learn about linear economy. Probably most of you are familiar with the concept of it. And we have started to try at the end, where we lose things, to avoid doing harm by reducing waste, by optimizing energy use, by minimizing water consumption, and so on and so forth. But still, we keep losing, and we keep using, at least in the renewable area, around 3 Earths every year, which is not sustainable and can't be sustained for long. So the concept of the circular economy comes in, where we start thinking about utilizing cycles, and also the beauty and the elegance of cycles, where all of a sudden we don't need to think about avoiding doing harm, but how can we create maximum abundance? If we start doing everything we do with an idea in mind of its further use after its first use, then the story is a different one. We live in abundance, we can create abundance and use this abundance. So this is number one, distancing concept-wise from the linear economy by approaching or by adopting a circular thinking. And this doesn't only confine to economy, as I said at the beginning. For me, it's really expandable everywhere. Once we start thinking in circles and in systems, we see interconnectedness, and we can really go beyond what we see today. The second distancing is really distance ourselves in time. What you see here is probably some of you know it, maybe not all of you. That's the first picture ever taken of our Earth. Actually, it's a picture put together, not one picture as a whole, but a picture put together of our Earth in 1967 from space. And what it shows is what we have come to know of as the blue marble. It's our home. It's our spaceship Earth, where we live on. And today we can even expand this view further away. This is an image taken from Osiris Rex, which is an instrument that is out in the outer space between Sun and Earth, and it shows Earth together with its moon, with its trabant. Looking from out there on our Earth, we have come to know that as overview effect. Not many people have had the privilege to get this overview. It's around 200 people that have been to space. But we can look at images of it, and we can see the beauty of our home, and also see how fragile it looks from the outer space. And it's our home of all people living here. If you look at it from far enough away, we can see that we only have this one Earth, and we better take care of it. I mean, that's something that's really obvious, but how often do we really distance ourselves that far in our thinking to see how fragile this Earth is and what we are doing down here by using 3 of this one planet we have? And the third remedy to working around the situation we are in today is distancing ourselves in time, what we are going to do right afterwards. We're in 2020 or 21 right now. If we think 30 years ahead, we would be in 2050. With a linear thinking, we would just extrapolate where we're in today into where we will go in 30 years. It ties us to the situation we are in. It ties us to the effects I've shown at the beginning. It makes it difficult to grasp what could be a different future. Prognosis is always building on what has happened in the past. So what really can help in this situation is do it the other way around. Do it as a re-gnosis, looking back from 2050, or what we will do later on, 2087, I think, and really ask ourselves, how will this world look like? And then, as a next step, ask ourselves, how can we go from where we are right now to where we want to be in 30 or 50 or 57 years? And if you think that's a long time and it's too long a time span you can overlook, especially for the German listeners, but also for all others, you're probably aware of the German reunification, which just lies 30 years back. And that's not a long time for all of you being old enough to remember. So if you take that into account, 30 years is not a long time, although it may sound long, and looking back might help us understand better where we want to be than looking ahead from here. This would be the third invitation, or the third remedy I propose to counter the situation where we are in, where we are stuck, and where we only learn that we are crossing and transgressing planetary boundaries.